welcome to Kwaku, and thank you so much for giving up your valuable time as well to speak to us today. Um, Kwaku is a man of many talents. Um, he's a musician, songwriter, lyricist, tailor, you name it, he's that, and that's just a few. I'm going to hand over to Joe, who's our artistic director, to start the chat with Kwaku.
Thank you very much, Kate, and welcome everybody. It's lovely to have you all here, and a special welcome to Kwaku, who is our subject today. So we're going to start off really, Kwaku. So when did you arrive in the UK?
Yes, so I got into the UK around 20th May 2022. Yeah, that was when I arrived.
Okay, and then obviously you're here because you have a relationship with Hear Me Out. So can you just tell us a bit about how that relationship started? Where did you first find us, or where did we find you?
I think when I arrived, I had to settle in some places before where I met Hear Me Out. So I was in London, Ealing, and then later moved to Napier Barracks, and that was where I met Hear Me Out one beautiful Thursday.
Okay, so what was Napier? What was Napier like before you met us? How was it for you?
Yeah, I would say it was a lot of things to wonder and ponder about, especially with life and experiences, and also wondering what was next in whatever I'm pursuing, or what how I wanted my life to be. But then I got to Napier with a notice from the what do you call it, from the Home Office to move there to Napier. And when I got there, it was kind of like a bit of restrictive that I kept myself within, and opening up was quite a difficult thing to do. So my first week in Napier was very quiet and alone, and I had been in the room for the whole week without going out or anything of that sort. So after a while, I decided to take a stroll around the camp. So whilst I was on my journey walking around to see what was going on, and that was where I heard like a sound from a room in Napier. So,
Right.
which was really it gave me that sense of finding something that I was interested in, because it was just musical instruments playing. So I gathered the confidence to get into that room, and I met Hear Me Out. I met some representatives of Hear Me Out. That was Jonathan, and it was an amazing time being there.
So from there, obviously you started to join. So on Thursdays we run workshops, music
Yes.
workshops in Napier, which
Yeah.
is for everybody to join. And just so people understand, so Napier are one of the barracks that's used, and when you go there, kind of like you only stay there for a maximum of 90 days. But
Yes.
we obviously had a great impact on you.
Yes.
Kwaku? Yeah, okay,
Yes. It was
great.
really it was really like a life-changing moment for me at that time to see Hear Me Out. Because over the period of staying around, just I was saying, it was like hard to fit into the society, hard to actually open up to everything. But until I met Hear Me Out, it was really a safe place for me to be, I would say.
Oh, that's lovely to know. So, from Napier, we then find out that you're part of the Unknowns, which is one of our two bands.
Yeah.
Could you just tell us about your involvement in the Unknowns, and what do you play, and what's the band like?
Yeah, so the first thing that comes to mind, I would always say that the first thing that comes to mind is like the band is a family with full of love and people who have a heart to give to their community, irrespective of wherever they are in life and their circumstances. And they are the band is full of brave people who wants to share love. And I can really relate to that. And that has been my inspiration. And then seeing that vibe from the band gave me a positive note to know that that is a good place to be in. And when I joined the band, I took on the responsibility to write songs, to compose some of our music, and yeah. So I've been basically writing songs, singing some, and then composing some of the music, which has been a very wonderful moment.
So we came in actually when people were coming into the room. It was to one of the songs that you'd written,
Oh,
the Hope for Humanity.
yes, hopefully humanity.
Okay, so tell us about how did that song come about? What drove you to write that song?
So at those times where I wrote that song, if I do recall, it was me thinking about those times where there was this raging news of sending people to Rwanda.
Right.
Yes, and looking at different aspects of the news that was coming in, it's like I have been there before, and I can really understand why people like us would leave everything behind, like family, luxury, maybe friends, career, and everything, just to find a safe space. And all that we were hoping, or all that I was thinking of having, was hope for me to have a safe space. So thinking about all of that, I just I was just thinking about it, and then was just saying to myself that love is the greatest. If all people can love, if all humans can love equally, I think the world can be a better place for everyone to be in. So fast forward, I was thinking about that when we were about to have rehearsal.
Right.
So as soon as we had a bit of time in our rehearsal moment, I started playing some chords, and I was saying to myself, I shouldn't forget about this, that love is the greatest and we should give hope to all humanity. So just there, I started playing these chords that was like resonating to the the things I was thinking about. And yeah, with the help of the other colleagues that I had in the band, yeah, we just arranged the song, and then that was Hope for Humanity born.
That's a marvelous story. I love
Yeah,
that. I love that. Um, so we know that there's the band's made up of several different members,
yeah.
all varying characters. Out of the unknowns, which is the band member that makes you laugh the most?
Love the most. Yeah. Just as you said, it's true. Like everyone in the band has their own uniqueness, and then you hear it from their instruments. Instruments not limited to the woods and the pipes and the cymbals, but the the words, the emotion, like is the most powerful instrument that we have in the band. And it is unique. Everyone has their own uniqueness. And then when it comes together, it comes to form this uniform, beautiful moment that we really can relate and then enjoy. But the one that will make me laugh the most is is AXA.
AXA, is it?
AXA and Anne. I think I'm mentioning to yeah, it's just like I can mention the whole entire people because it's just amazing to be in that team. Yeah, I would say.
That's wonderful. Now you were talking about AXA actually, and I just wanted to know. So all the bands, sort of like the unknowns, you all kind of like write songs and you work on it together, and then that's what kind of like you work on, and that forms part of your set. So in April last year, you played at Union Chapel, which was kind of like the Unknowns were the headliners. What was your favourite song, or what's your favourite song that the Unknowns?
My favorite song with Unknowns would be one called Jerusalem, where, written by AXA. Yeah, that
And why
is
why Jerusalem? What does it conjure up for you?
um it's just the song Jerusalem is kind of like a pictorial it has this pictorial sound effect, like as the first time I heard AXA sing that song, I could picture, I'm from Ghana,
Mhm.
and when she sang that song, I could really picture myself in her world and what she was really singing. It's so it's so powerful, and I can also relate it to my journey as
Mm.
well. So the moment I heard her sing it, I have never forgotten about that song, because it really makes that impact to let me know where I'm coming from, where I'm going, and like have my mind focused on possibilities.
Mm.
Yeah.
Oh, that's lovely. Well, we are going to hear a little bit of Jerusalem at the end. But and also just to everybody that's in the room, we will be having a little bit of a Q&A session. So if you've got any questions, just pop them in the chat, and I'll answer them sort of towards the end, about 5 to. I'll go to some questions from our audience. Um, so Kwaku, it's not just about you being in the band with the Unknowns. You also do so much for us here at Hear Me Out as well. You're part of our co-creation group, and co-creation at the moment is a big buzzword that everybody's using out there. Oh, we need to be co-creation and everything to be co-created. But what does the co-creation group do for you? What have you got out of it?
Thank you very much for that. I think the joining the co-creation group was a new a new thing to me, I would say. But
It
with
was new
being
to everybody, Quakey. Don't worry. We were all just sort of like, I don't know what we're doing here, but hey, let's do this.
yeah, so it's kind of like the co-creation group gives that forum for us to bring out much more of our desired impact to life and see the possibilities of how we can better not just our world but everyone around, and then everyone in a whole. I'm just reflecting in my mind right now some of the topics that we've discussed, and then some of the terms and some of the way that we really take our time to um, build up, and much more being cautious of the things that we do in the co-creation environment makes you see the vision for Hear Me Out as a whole, and then our agenda to strive to bring a better and well-being to people, like I would use myself, like people like myself, and then to make that influence into the society. So the co-creation group has really been so good, and it's very educative, I would say. It has been educative for me as well, to respect, to dignify, to honor, and then to cherish people in same lights. And so there is a lot that I can say about the co-creation group being a massive impact. Yeah.
Okay, great. And not just the co-creation group you've been part of, but we also had a campaign that we were working on together. There was a small group of us. And how did you find? Can you just explain what that campaign was and what it did for you?
The campaign we had last some few years back, even though it's been we talked about the subject of more than a label, where we were from my experience for the campaign, it talking about my life back then and now, and how people can have that spectacle of not seeing you beyond what you are being claimed to be, was like a kind of stereotype that needed to break off. And I believe that um, from the reactions to the campaign, I believe like it gave a lot of people understanding to it. Before the campaign, I remember there was an example of something like more than a label that happened in Amersham when we had a program in Amersham. We had a Hear Me Out program some few years back, and when after I finished speaking, one gentleman walked to me and said, "Well, I had no idea that people like you are going through these situations, and we are so sorry for making you feel this way." And now he has a certain kind of idea about not being judgmental to people that he sees, or what maybe the news might claim some people to be. And that was, so it took up that space of people labeling individuals to be like maybe asylum seekers or anything, but seeing them more than the label asylum seekers, and see the potential, the real potential in them, because there are thousands of people in these situations that they are well educated. Some are doctors, some are health practitioners, some are doing massive important jobs and careers that were quite better than to just name them as asylum seekers because of the situations that they find themselves in. So I think that was a turnaround for people to see that people like us are more than the label of the situations that we find ourselves in. But yeah.
Yeah. And I think, for us at Hear Me Out, one of our drivers is about changing people's perceptions, or giving them the tools and the knowledge and the information so that they can understand and then form their own idea and perceptions, rather than what's portrayed in the media.
Yeah.
I think I've got one more question, and then I will open the floor. My last question is, I've got a couple of questions, but I think I can only fit one more in. So you are an immensely talented young man. Your key skills as a keyboardist, as a vocalist, as a songwriter. But a little bird tells me that you're also a tailor, and tailoring, being a tailor, is what you want to drive. What you're striving for. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell us about your tailoring journey, and what are your, what's the goal, Kwaku?
It's a very, thank you. So like being a tailor, I'm full of craft. I believe in giftings. I believe in what my hand can make, and I believe in seeing to impact people with what I have now. So I've been a very solid-minded person that I believe that my craft can make impact in life, in other people's life. So in my journey of tailoring, I studied in Ghana. Back in Ghana, I did a textiles and fashion studies. And afterwards, I started up my own business into the tailoring, specifically for suit making. And things happened, and we just have to leave everything behind. And then being here, my journey in pursuing my tailoring has been a lot of ups and downs and a bit challenging, which doesn't stop me to giving up. It challenges me to see that the the walls that are being created right now is a sign that there is something better for me to achieve. So I've done some few trials and work experience in the Savile role, with Anderson and Shepherds and Oswald Bolton, which there's still like room to consider, but then it has been challenging, I would say. At the moment, I've actually trying to pursue to set up my own tailoring and then become a freelance and then get some further educational background to it and then make sure that that would become a dream come true.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. In that case, can I ask a question? Why are women's pockets in clothes smaller than men's?
Oh.
I'm just asking for a friend. It's okay.
Let's forget that.
You don't need to answer that question. But Esther has a proper question. Hi, Esther. Lovely to have you here with us again. So Esther's asking, do you make clothes for the performances or do you make clothes for the performers?
Mine has been much more of I think I've done legal wares for like lawyers. I was in as a sales associate, so like I have more some in-depth knowledge in that. And then moreover, I do bespoke tailoring for. So, but I am not limited to that because of my background of studies. So I love challenges. So I would be able to do from every perspective because I studied pattern making as well, which gives me much more knowledge to be able to work in every environment in the fashion section.
Right, that gives me an idea. Maybe we should think of some sort of a uniform, sort of like for the unknowns. I haven't. Can see them all in flares or something. I don't know, something like that. Thank you very much. Are there any other questions from you lovely people? Actually, I can see somebody is typing right now. We will be finishing at 1 o'clock, so you can all have your lunch. But we'd just like to say thank you so much for joining. And Kwaku, your story is amazing, but you are phenomenal. And you know, we are so privileged though to have such a talent on, you know, as part of Hear Me Out. So we've got what are your aspirations for the unknowns? And how do you balance your music with your other work and earning a living? Which we all know as artists, when you've got to have a job, haven't we, to pay the bills.
Yeah.
But we've got this draw, this passion about our creativity. So, yeah, what are your aspirations for the unknowns?
So basically, I think unknowns and my aspirations for unknown is kind of, I wouldn't say it's a bit in depth to say that I want I want to see all the creatives and then the music that we're doing to make that core impact and then fly out to carry out that message that Hear Me Out has to give to everyone in this world. I would use the criteria of world because it would be understandable and to make that massive impact, which I know unknowns is one of the carriers of our message. So my aspiration is to see us do well with sending out that in message to people for them to know all that we want to make impact of. Yeah, I think that would be the first thing that would come to my mind. Yeah, to carry out that message to the world. Yeah.
Okay, and quickly, how do you balance your music with, you know, having a job and living a life?
Honestly, like at the moment, I thank God for health and I thank God for being able to do a lot of things now because of my youthfulness. So in terms of in terms of that, sleep has not really become a luxury because I know this is the time for me to till the land and then make myself more productive. So, and in my daily routines, maybe within the week, I know I have to learn some keys. I know I have to think about some music. At the same time, I have to work on the side. And then it's just a whole lot of preparation and balance because I can't leave one out of the side because
Right.
yeah.
Okay. Sorry, Adwa, you had a question, is that correct? Ah, okay. Oh, can you share your tailoring on social media with us? Have you got a
Yes, I do. I do have I do have a page for my tailoring.
you can type that in for us
Yes, I will just type it in the section
in the chat. Thank
in the
you.
chat.
And to answer your question, Natalie, so we have we have a YouTube channel, which is the Hear Me Out YouTube channel. But I think Kate is going to send everybody, I'm assuming, Natalie, you're on our mailing list. If you are, then you will get an email from Kate. Oh, and John's just popped it in the chat for us. But yeah, you can catch all of our music there on YouTube, but also on our website. We've got like hundreds of songs which we've created like over the years in different settings that we've been in. Well, there we go. 1 o'clock. Woo! I did it. We did it.
That was pretty impressive, Kwaku and Joe. That was pretty good.
Thank you so much.
I just want to reiterate my thanks as well. Thank you so much, Kwaku. Thanks so much, Joe, for a really lovely half an hour. I hope everyone else has enjoyed it as much as I have. And as ever, we can only do our work if we have donations. So if anyone is minded to, please do feel free to donate via our webpage, which is the www.hearmeoutmusic.org.uk. We will be having another webinar in our sessions in the next 2 months, so keep posted. But again, thank you so much. It's been lovely having you all, and thanks again, Kwaku.
You're welcome.
And all
Thank
the
you
very
so much
best.
for having me.
Yeah,
Thank
all
you
the
so much.
best.
Really
So we're going to
appreciate
go out to your favourite song, sung by AXA, Jerusalem. So I just want to say thank you very much to everybody, and let's see if I can get this working. Here we go.
Wanted to grow old in your bird song's company. Now that I'm here, I am singing this refrain for you with those birds I am bringing. You became to me, Jerusalem. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Beautiful song.